All you know is all a lie, all caught up in paradise, running away from everything real, everything that hurts to feel. All you know is all that you've put up to keep you from the truth, the wall to keep out all the hurt, only to keep out all it's worth. All along you thought that you were better off if all you knew.
Well, I've just arrived down at the River Ribble here after having a lovely night the overnight, and I was fishing not too far downstream. It was under the M6 bridge, but I was talking to a couple of anglers that said they did well during the day, and that spurred me on. I've come down, it's daylight, it's 11:30, just about to set up. You can just hear the bells behind me there. 12 o'clock, noon. I've just put one rod in, I'm just setting up the second one, and I'm going to be doing something a little bit different today. I'm going to be fishing one rod out normally for the barbel. You can also see that just above the feeder on this barbel setup, probably about 2 foot, I've just tied a little bit of pole elastic, and that's going to act as a catcher, just like I was fishing the overnight. It's going to catch all the debris. No need for any leads to pin it down, that'll do perfect. And the second rod I'm going to fish with the centre pin. It's a 2 1/4 test curve rod. That's coupled with a lovely, the drag on this centre pin reel is fantastic. It is absolutely fantastic. It's got a ratchet, I'm going to keep it on the ratchet. As you can see, fish moves off, scream and run, happy days. So the terminal tackle, basically you couldn't get any simpler than the terminal tackle. It's just an Arsley bomb, non-toxic, and that's just to quick change bead and 12 inches of coated braid with the final few inches stripped back where the hook is, and just a little halibut pellet, and that's all I'm going to be fishing right underneath my feet. This is lunch, happy days. What I've done is I've opened it up and I've put a little bag of coffee and some sweeteners in there, so with the excess water I'll have enough for a cup of coffee as well. Happy days. This is the sauce that comes with it. This is the teriyaki sauce and yakisoba, but this is going to be just delicious. Look what I do as well. There's little drain holes in the top of this, so rather than waste them, you can pour it into your cup, like so. And there you have a lovely cup of soup as well to go with your meal. That's gorgeous. Beautiful. Let it swirl it around again. Go for round 2. Oh, that's it all gone. Lovely. There I have a lovely soup. Oh, that is so gorgeous. That is beautiful. That's gorgeous. And here you have your fork. You've got your dinner. And look at that. Beautiful stuff. Happy days. The stuff that kings eat. It's gorgeous. Honestly. I've died and gone to heaven. Will there be yakisoba in heaven? I think so. Gorgeous. Well, I just scrambled down the bank. Just scrambled down the bank and got this centre pin rod, because that almighty scream of a run. Yes, looks like a good fish. Could be a carp. Happy days. Absolutely fantastic. This is what it's all about, really.
Yeah, Ian, he's on the River Ribble on the Bonsai stretch. He's just had a very nice barbel. He's about to return it.
Well, these guys came down and rescued me really, because I was on the centre pin and I've not fished with a centre pin for barbel yet this season. It was the first one and I was a little bit shocked. I didn't know what it was. It was kind of just like a heavy lump. It didn't go for a massive run. It just sort of wallowed around the edges. And I thought, well, it must be a chub. It must be, but these lads came along and he spotted it with a barbel and that was it. So that's a lovely fish. So I'm just going to stick this one back. He's had a good rest in the water anyway, so he should go back quite strong. I'll just hold him through. Oh, he's away. I think he's strong. He's rested him.
He's gone.
He's away. Well, I've just had another lump of a barbel. This time I cast it straight in. It wasn't with the centre pin reel, this time it was with my bait runner. And it was right in the middle of the river, in the fast flow. So, I've got her well rested in the net. She's had about a good 4 minutes. Haven't even took her out of the water yet, just unhooked her in the water. And she's had a good 4 minutes rest there while I set the camera up. So, I'll just bring her out and show you quickly before slipping her back. And there she is. I'll just get her on this soft grass. Slip her out. Strong, very strong. Wants to go back. Really wants to go back. There we have her. There's a lovely River Ribble barbel. Isn't she just gorgeous? Absolutely fin perfect. Absolutely gorgeous. Brightened up my day, definitely. That's barbel number 2. I've had a barbel on each rod. I've had one on the centre pin now, one on the bait runner. So I've had a really productive day. And do you know what? It is such a bright day as well. The sun's been in and out of the clouds. And it hasn't really bothered the barbel at all, because there's a tinge of brown in the water, so that must be why they're feeling confident, they're feeding, and they just love my pellets. Look at that, a River Ribble barbel. I'll just slip her back now. Beautiful fish, probably about the same size as the last one. No monsters today, just hard fighting River Ribble Barbel. Doesn't matter what size they are, they're all gorgeous. And you're going straight back.
All you know is all a lie, all caught up in the past.
I managed to get a nice chub. So just had the 2 barbel, and this really made me happy. Big bar of silver. Isn't she gorgeous? What a lovely example of the specimen, really. Look at the big eyes, you see. Big eyes, big predator. You can just imagine that scooping up all the little fry. Look at the size of the mouth. Wonderful. So I'm going to get this one back. It weighed 4 pounds 6. So I was happy with that. It's a lovely fish. Hardly a scale wrong on it. Oh, time to get this one straight back. Happy days.
How long you've been a fool, and it's getting old.
Okay, so I've been very lucky to have another fish. Now this is my 3rd barbel. I've actually lost the barbel as well about 5 minutes before. I was playing a barbel for about 8 minutes and I lost it. I was gutted. So what I did was I got my rod, baited up back in the same place, and I've been rewarded with this lovely, beautiful River Ribble barbel. Where do you see this? Big chunky fish. That's a cracker. That is a cracker, and it's 10-1, so it's a double. It's my 2nd double of the season. 10 pound and 1 ounce. So I'm really happy with that. That's perfect. And you know, the fish I lost was bigger. I'm telling you now. I was playing for 8 minutes, and this one did give me a good scrap, but the one before, oh, the one that got away, boys, the one that got away. But isn't this just beautiful? Look at that lovely fish. Not a mark on her. She's in really good condition. Fantastic. Right, time to slip this one back, boys. That's me elated now. 3 barbel today. I've lost one as well, so I've had a gorgeous chub. I've had a couple of days. What a wonderful day's fishing in broad daylight as well. That's just wonderful. And that was that little tip I had from them 2 boys. So if you are watching, thanks very much for letting me know what you were catching in the day, because that's what spurred me on to get down here, have a bash myself, and I've been rewarded with all these lovely barbel. So thanks very much. Happy days. I'm going to get this one back. Okay, so as I've come down early to the river today, I'm going to take the opportunity to do something a bit different and actually show you the tackle that I'm going to be using. I haven't put any of it up yet. I've just arrived and I've just plunked everything down. So I'm going to start off by showing you what rod I'm using and the reason why I'm using that rod. Well, I'm going to be using, no names mentioned, but it's a precision specimen 12 foot 2 3/4 pound test curve rod. Very strong indeed. This rod is very powerful, and I tend to only use this rod when the river is actually up. The river is up today and it's dropping, and it seems to be dropping really well. There's a lovely brown tinge in the river as well, which is perfect for the barbel. On the end of that rod I have, because it's going to get dark in the next hour and a half, a little nightlight, and it's just attached like that. Very easily to attach. Now when you buy these nightlights, they're about £15 now. I got these a few years ago, they were only a tenner then, but they have gone up with inflation. They come with little adapters and they just clip onto your rod. You get about 5 different sizes and 2 of each size. and that's the little adapters that comes with the nightlight. And the actual nightlight itself is just basically that. You don't need to break it or anything like that. I've had these for years and they've lasted years. They just glow in the dark, they're little isotopes. There's a little rubber sleeve, so you just clip that onto your rod, and then that just fits around like so. So I attach that to my rod. You can use two, you get two in the packet. You can use two because if you put two on, you can see the bites better. But with Barbel, you don't really need them to see the bites, because you'll know all about it when a Barbel takes, because your rod will bend double for positioning my rod on the river. And basically all I do is this is an old rod rest. It was actually part of a pod set, but I didn't really need the pod. All I needed was the central stand, really, because it's got a sharp spike on the end, and that sticks into any of the soft banks that I fish on the River Ribble. Further upstream there's a lot of stones and a lot of places that you won't be able to use this, and then the tripod would actually come in to use them, but all the stretches I fish, they've all got soiled banks, so perfect. Just put it in, and then I just attach the top on, and the rod sits on it. Simple as that. That extends. Make that bigger and smaller. You can set this to whatever angle you want. If you want it down low in the ground, you can have it lower. You can raise it up and down, and that locks into place. Simple as that. The end that goes on that is, it's in my bag somewhere here. There we are. And that's basically what goes on the end. So just unscrew this. Goes on like that. And just screw that in. I like this because when you're mobile, there's not a lot of weight in this at all. It's just basically very light metal and durable as well. I've had this for years, and simple to use. Stick it in and you're fishing. So I like to keep things really quick, really simple, so that I'm fishing at the earliest opportunity, because sometimes you just need that one bite to make your night. So with speed in mind, this is all I use. Here's the landing net that I use for all my fishing really on the Ribble. This could fit 20 pound, 30 pound carp in it, no problem. It's massive, it's huge. Large holes so the water can pass through as well. So when you've caught your fish, if you're wanting to rest it in the net before you take it out, you know the fish is going to be safe. There's no nuts on it. It's knotless, it's safe, it's been approved, has the approved sticker on it. Stickers actually came off now, so it has. But yeah, it's good, it's lightweight, it's large, it's big enough for a barbel, it's big enough for a carp. I've had pike to 13 pound in this, not a problem. This is the reel that I use for all my fishing really, all for my specimen fishing for carp, barbel, pike. It's a good bog standard bait runner reel. It lasts years. Got a good bait running function on it. It's got really good drag on it, and that's loaded with 10 pound line. The 10 pound line, which is strong enough for this river, and it's a fantastic reel. And that couples up with this heavy rod very well. It's a very balanced outfit, and it makes playing the fish fun as well, especially when you get them screaming runs when you're playing the barbel on the clutch. That's fantastic. So let's get this set up. I think I'll start off with a 4 ounce, and then there's no messing about. 4 ounce is perfect for the River Ribble. It's a big river. It's a bit like the Trent or the Severn. It's a large river. You can't really compare it to any other rivers in the area. You could call it a little sister of the Severn or the Trent. So 4 ounce is perfect. I've never really used anything bigger. I know people do, especially in flood. but it's not too bad actually. It's actually dropping nicely. Now, I don't usually use short hook lengths on the Ribble. I always use 2.5 foot ideal, sometimes 3, sometimes 4. But I've been thinking the river is quite up, so there's going to be a lot of debris coming down on the Ribble. So what I'm going to do is I've opted to fish a 1 foot long, just 1 foot hook length, and on that it's coated braid, and all I've done is tied a little loop on the end so I can attach that to a quick change bead. And on the business end of that, it's just I've stripped back the coating, so that's all real subtle, and that'll sit nicely on the bottom, and if a fish takes it, it can move off without feeling it until the last minute. I've lassoed a little pellet on there. It's a little 10mm halibut pellet. Now I buy these halibut pellets from a shop down in Bewdley, and they're not actually, they actually are flavoured, but it's a secret flavour to use. They don't tell you what it is, but they call it an ambush, and it's worked wonders for me on the Ribble for years. About 5 or 6 years ago, when we first discovered it, we were down in Bewdley, me and my brother, and it just fished really well. The fish just seemed to love it. All the shops down there, all the tackle shops, absolutely stink of it. As soon as you walk in, all you can smell is ambush, and it sticks to your clothes. It's a real potent, to me it smells like pickled onion Munster Munch, but it's garlicky, it's spicy meat. We just don't know what it is. But when I was over in Northern Ireland fishing quite recently, the lamprey that I bought, I was using lamprey for the pike, and they were soaked in an oil, and it was a lamprey oil. Now that smelt very similar to ambush, so maybe it's just, I know that they do a lamprey version of the pellet as well in the same shop, but maybe they've just mixed a whole lot of different flavours together, and this is what they've come out with, the ambush. But it absolutely stinks. Absolutely stinks what I do. So I'm using a foot long. Now you might be thinking, why is he using a foot long? He said there's a lot of debris coming down. I'm going to have a feeder here. It's going to be 1 foot away. So I'm going to have the feed really close to the hook bait, and then behind that, probably a foot, 2 foot behind that, I'm going to have a little lead, and that's going to act as a catcher for all the debris coming down. But it's also going to make sure that most of the business end of my tackle is going to be on the deck where the barbel are. There's going to be less lines sticking up like that to spook the barbel. It's all going to be flat on the riverbed, so that's what I'm going to be doing today. Put my back lead on first, then my feeder. Now I've got my main line, and then how do I attach my hook length? Well, I've tied that little loop in the end of my hook length. Now what I use is a quick change bead. Little quick change bead. It's the larger of there's 2 different sizes you can buy, but I always go for the larger one on the Ribble. Bigger river, you need bigger tackle. That's what I think anyway. So basically it comes in 2 pieces. It actually comes all in 1 piece, attached like so. So it's like that when you buy them in the packet. Basically you can pull the insert out, and then what you do is with the large hollow end, the dome end, looks like a ball, you just put that on your main line after you put your feeder on, and that just slides down. And then what you do, just like you're tying a hook on, is you basically tie that insert on. There's a little hole at one side, and basically what you do is you just tie that on like you're tying a hook on, and then what you do is you pull it together. I'll show you. So you've got your main line, little hole in the insert, just goes through the hole just like an eye of a hook, and then you just tie whatever hook you feel comfortable in. I tie usually the half blood knot. The half tuck blood knot does me, so it does on the Ribble. And you might be wondering, why is he using his tongue like this? I perfected a method of tying knots in the dark. So, because I got poor eyesight, as you can see with the big thick milk bottle glasses that I'm wearing, I need to be able to tie in the dark. So my tongue becomes an extra pair of hands basically, and I can do this almost blindfolded. There we go. And then there's the little insert, and that just attaches to your hook length. There's a little hook there, it just attaches, and then you just close it both ends together back into the one piece again, and that's how you attach it. That's perfect. Feeder just slides down, and that also acts as a buffer bead as well for when you're casting. It's perfect. See, feeder slides down. Perfect. This is the little lead I was telling you about, that I put on to act as a back lead, and also to take all the debris that's floating down. All the debris comes down, hits your line, and gets stuck here rather than going around your feeder and your hook. So that's what I'm using today. What I'll do is I'll get a little piece of pole elastic, and I'll tie a little stop knot on somewhere, and I can slide to whatever distance I want it. I'll start off with about 2 foot, and that'll be perfect. This is the bait I use all the time. Basically what I do is I buy a big bag of fish meal, and I buy a big bag of crushed trout pellets. I've got this spicy sausage lava flavour that I bought from Oh, hear that? Kingfishers. Kingfishers. Kingfisher! There's a kingfisher there. There's a kingfisher just went behind me then. I don't know if you can hear that. Beautiful. Kingfisher. These are the pellets that I use in the feeder. Pellets. It mainly is I've got a couple of different flavours in there, because just old ones at the bottom of packets that I've used in years gone by. A couple of boilies in there as well. I usually just crush them as well. These are fruity berry flavour, but the main thing I put in there is just trout pellets, and that's basically it. So there you have them. And these are the halibut pellets I was talking about. This is the ambush flavour, and they absolutely stink. I've got a couple of boilies in there as well. I always throw a couple of boilies in there, because this will last me all year. By the end of the year, then boilies will end up smelling of the ambush, so I'll be using them. Absolutely stink. So there's my rig, it's all ready to go. I've got from the tip of my rod, I'll work my way down. I've got my back lead, which is sliding on the main line, and it's stopped with a little stop knot, which is tied with pole elastic at about nearly 3.5 foot. Then I've got my feeder, which is full of halibut pellets and the trout pellets, and that's clogged with the feeder mix. And then straight down to my pellet, which has got the same mix that I use in the feeder, which is, I've just added some saliva to it and I've moulded that around the pellet to act as a paste and also as a draw, because that'll leak off down in the riverbed and it'll draw fish up to it, and that's the plan. So let's get this in now. 8:30, perfect. I've decided to move downstream here and I've come to the M6 bridge. I'm basically standing under the slip road of the M6 bridge here, and big concrete structure, and with the extra water in the Ribble I thought, well, it's usually quite shallow here, probably 3-4 foot deep. However, there's probably an extra 4 or 5 foot water in the Ribble. So that gives me about 9 foot of water to fish here. So I thought, you know, I've always fancied trying to catch a nice fish from under this bridge, and it might be a bit of a joke, but it's right near where I'm parked, so I thought I'll pop down here, cast one in for an hour and see what happens. So I've got somewhere nice to set all my stuff. I've got all my stuff just sitting here nicely on this little ledge. My bag, I've got my ground bait in there, got my pellets, got a wee torch. I've just had a big whack, on the rod there. Can you believe that? Well, there's fish here and getting bites. That's brilliant. Getting bites under the M6 bridge. Happy days. Fish on! Mission accomplished. There you have it. An urban chub caught under the M6 bridge at Preston. Happy days. Fish on. That's what I call a peach of a chub. Nice big long fish. Size of the head on it. Size of that head. Gorgeous. Well, looks like the chub loved the M6 bridge. No barbel though. Fish on. Just lost a barbel under the M6 bridge.
Taken by the words that you say, the voice that carries them has kept me astray. Too soon to act on it, can we ever be? That all depends you're feeling from me. Show you all the way.